Yeah, Deepak, I know you are in hospital. If it is very urgent, then you can drop off. You can see the recording later on. Or if you are comfortable to continue, then you can continue. So in today's class, I will mostly cover the theoretical part of our first project. I cannot directly jump on the project and start explaining you everything because before that you should be aware of the background. If you do not know the background, you will not be able to understand the project. Okay. So today's class will be mostly on theoretical. Then from tomorrow onwards, we will move on to the practical part. So first of all, I will start with the SDLC, Software Development Lifecycle. First of all, I'm explaining, I will complete the first two projects. Then I will move on to the theoretical part of software testing. So the second part will be helpful to those who do not know, who do not have any idea about the testing. Okay? And in the third part, I will cover the database testing. So in that way, only I will cover the theoretical part. So this theoretical part will be common for those guys who has joined this batch for the entire, for all the three options. And this theoretical part will be helpful for those guys who have joined only for two options like project and the Selenium interview questions. Okay, so this class will be basically common to all of you, whatever will be the option. So in software testing, what happens? We work in a project in a company. There are so many projects that they develop. Open the notepad, then I will explain one by one. So there will be a company, an IT company. Okay. In IT company, there are so many projects they are developing. Now, what is projects? Projects are nothing but an application. Can all of you go on mute? Yeah. If you have anything, then only unmute yourself. Okay, so in IT company, there are so many projects that they develop. Now, what is project? Let's suppose I'm giving you an example. Let's suppose XYZ IT company. There is an IT company named XYZ. Okay, that company handles so many projects. One of the project is ICICI Bank. ICICI Bank has thought they want to create an application, web application for the ICICI Bank. In that application, they thought they will do so many banking related operations online. They want to provide this facility to the users that they do not need to come to the bank for this kind of operations. You can directly log into our website and you can perform all the activities from the website or from mobile only. So this kind of application ICICI Bank has decided to develop. Now software development part can be done by any IT company. So ICICI Bank has decided to give a project to XYZ IT company. They have signed a contract. Now this company XYZ will develop an application for ICICI Bank. Okay, so this contract has been signed. So after the contract signed, there will be a client and there will be a project. Who is the client? ICICI. Who is the project? Let's suppose in the XYZ company, they have created a team. Like in XYZ company, there will be so many employees. So all employees cannot work on the same project. So for this particular client, ICICI Bank, they have created a small team and they have created a project. And the project name will be ICICI. Okay. And let's suppose in that team, there are just for example, I'm saying there are 50 members, 50 employees that they have selected and they have asked all these 50 employees to work on this ICICI project. So this company has created a project. This the name of the project is ICICI project, and all these 50 employees now work on this project. Okay, and this contract has been signed between this bank and this company. And now the company has assigned this project. This one will take care of the development part of the application on behalf of XYZ company. For whom? For this bank, for this client. So now ICICI has become a client and ICICI project has become a vendor. Okay. So this is how starts, like an application development. This is how it starts. Once the contract is signed, so next thing what will happen? Some senior member of ICICI project will start discussion with this bank. Why there will be a discussion? To understand the requirement. Requirement means this bank wants to develop which kind of application? What are the features? What are the functionality this bank wants to show in his application? So first of all, this project has to understand like which kind of requirement, which kind of functionality you want to develop. Before understanding the requirement, you cannot develop any application, right? So all the requirements will be given by this client, and there will be a team called business team. This bank will also create a team, which is known as business team. Plus, there will be some technical person. Okay. So what business team will do? Business team will define all the business requirements. Business requirement means my with my application. Let's suppose some of the example I'm giving. I can log in. I can sign up as a customer, right? I can see my account balance. I can see my account statement. I can do internet banking, right? I can set up my ATM pin. I can reset my pin. So many things we can do on a banking application. So these are the functionalities that will be given by this business team on behalf of this bank. Okay, they will define a document. They will create a document. In that document, they will define all the requirements. So what will be the name of the document? BRS. Its name is Business Requirement Specifications. This requirement will be created by this client. This business team will create, and in this document, all the business related information, like what are the functionalities I want to, the bank wants to develop, everything will be documented in this document. Now, this project will connect with the business team to understand this document. Okay. They will set up so many meetings. They will start discussing about these documents. They will try to understand the functionalities. In this project also, in this ICICI project, there will be a business team and there will be some technical person. Now, this business team will discuss with this business team to understand this document. Why? Because this business team once understand the requirements that what this client wants to develop. After that, this business team will provide all the details to this technical team, so that this technical team will start developing the application. Okay. Business understanding and technical understanding is totally different. A technical person cannot understand the business terms. They only understand the application on a technical basis. So that is why from this BRS, this business team create SRS, which is known as software requirement specification. Okay. And now this will be handed over to the technical team. So this is how the process goes on. Technical team can understand software requirement specification, but they cannot understand business requirement specification. This can be only understood by the business team because they are the non-technical person. So that is why in both from the client side and from the project side, there will be a business team, there will be a technical team. This business team is basically known as, if you have heard this term, BA. Nowadays, BA term is very much useful. If you have heard this term, its name is business analyst. There is a business analyst. Right now, there is so much demand of business analyst because they act as a bridge between the project and the client to understand the requirements so that they can make and they can make them understand, like they can explain on all the requirements to this technical person. They can basically create this document so that this technical person can understand and they can start developing the application. So in the business team, you will find business analyst. There will be one or two business analysts. So this is how a project, an application is provided by the requirement is basically provided by the client to the vendor, and how the vendor understand the requirement and they start developing the application based on the requirement. This is an overview I have given you. In details, we will understand about each and everything. Right. So in our example, we will start from the software requirement specification because we are the technical person. We are not the business person. We will get this document. We will not get this document. This document will be given to BA. They will derive this document and will be given to us. So our focus will be on this document. Based on this document, we will create test strategy, test plan, test scenario, test cases, defect report, requirement traceability matrix. So many things, so many documents are there. We will create one by one. So for technical person, like There are two types of technical person. One is the developer, one is the tester. We are not developers, so we will not focus on that part. We will only focus on the testing part. For testing part also, we need software requirement specification because this is the base. From here only, we will start creating the different, we will start moving to the different layers. This is the start of a project. Okay, so from tomorrow onwards, we will focus on this topic. So this is an overview. If you have any doubt, you can ask, or we can move on to the next part. If you do not have any doubt, you can say no. Either ping in the chat no, or you can speak no. But don't remain silent. Okay. The same thing happened in my last manual testing batch. They haven't speak anything. The reason why I asked why if you know Hindi is the same. Most of them are from non-IT background. They are from BC or BSc. They do not have that such level of communication skill, and that is why this is the one of the reason that they are hesitate to speak. That is why I asked if you know Hindi, then I can continue in Hindi so that you will be comfortable. Or anyone, if you have any difficulty in speaking English, if you know Hindi, you can speak in Hindi. I will understand. I will explain the same in English. Okay. But don't hesitate to speak if you have any doubt, because again, in this comfortable also English, that is fine. Any language you can use. But especially to them, I'm saying if you have any communication problem, then you can speak in. Okay. So this part is done. Now we will move on to the document part. What is SDLC? SDLC is software development life cycle. I told you about the software in this example, in this diagram. The technical team will start developing the application. So they will basically start developing a software. So this is the, now when we, can you increase phone? Okay. Now it is fine. Software development life cycle. When the business team provide the software requirement specification, then from that onwards, this SDLC process starts, which is known as software development lifecycle. We have used so many softwares, but we do not know like in the background what happens. So in the background, every software goes through this life cycle, which is known as software development life cycle. So it is basically a process which is followed in software projects, SDLC. Each phase of SDLC produces deliverables. What is
Yeah.
deliverables? Yeah.
Sunny, are you sharing your screen?
Yes, I'm sharing.
Okay, but it
Can,
is not visible on my side.
can you all see my screen? Or yeah, I guess the problem from your side. Can you rejoin again?
Yeah, okay, Sunny. Okay.
Okay, so each phase of SDLC produces deliverables. What is deliverables? I will come. Required by the next phase in the life cycle. Requirements are translated into designs. Code is produced according to the design. Testing should be done on a developed system that meets or exceeds the customer specific expectations. works effectively and efficiently in the current and the planned information technology infrastructure, and is inexpensive to maintain and cost effective to enhance. So many things I have read. One by one, I will explain. Okay. So the simple definition of SDLC you can give. SDLC is a software development lifecycle. Whenever we develop an application, a software, that it goes through the several phases or several cycles. That cycle is basically known as software development lifecycle. This is a simple definition. Now you will move on. There are 7 phases of software development lifecycle. One by one, you will start explaining the phases. What is requirement phase? In the requirement phase, same thing we do. We derive the software requirement specification from the business requirement specification. This process happens in this phase. Requirement gathering and analysis is the most important phase. Requirement phase is the first step of SDLC. Business analyst collects the requirement from the client as per the client's business needs and documents the requirement in the business requirement specification. Some examples are, it is also known as customer requirement specification or business specification, this document. This is also known as customer requirement specification or only business specification. Okay. This is what happens in the requirement phase, which I just now explained you with the help of an example. Next phase is analysis phase. Once we get the BRS, then what we do is start. Once the requirement gathering and analysis is done, the next step is to define the document and produce the requirements and get them approved by the customer. So once we get the BRS, okay, and when we develop this, create this SRS, then we send this SRS document back to the client and ask them, please review the document and let us know whatever we have understood, we have documented in SRS, and now please go through this document and give us a confirmation. Our understanding is correct or not. If we have missed anything or everything is captured perfectly. If the client says, yes, everything is captured and this is what we want you guys to develop, then they will approve, or they will, or if everything is not meeting, then they will give a review. This is you have missed, or this understanding is not correct. This will happen in that way. This will not happen in that way. All those reviews they will give. All this communication will happen via email. In IT field, emails has so many importance. We do not believe on verbal communication. We believe on email communication because that acts as a proof that yes, you have approved. That is why we go ahead and we have done the activity. So there will be a proof if that confirmation comes from email. If verbally they confirm, and later on if they say no, I haven't said such thing, then this will create a problem. So that is why in IT sector emails has so many importance. So all these communications happens via email. If they approve, like yes, this document is perfect, then technical team will move ahead with this document and will start the development phase. So once the requirement gathering and analysis is done, the next step is to define the document. Basically, they will create this SRS document. SRS consists of all the products requirements to be designed and to be developed during the project lifecycle. Key people involved in this phase are the project managers. So who will be involved in the development phase? There will be a project manager, there will be a business analyst, and there will be some senior members who will develop this application. What is the role of project manager? He will basically monitor how the project development is going on, and he will update all the details to the client. This is the role of project manager. The role of business analyst to teach the senior members about the requirement so that they can start developing. The senior members is the person who will develop or who will test the application. The outcome of this phase is software requirement specification. In analysis phase, our input will be VRS. This document will act as an input, and after this, once this phase is completed, we will get this SRS. After that, what will happen? Design phase will start. In design phase, what will happen? In design phase, they will create a UI architecture. What is architecture? In our first project, I'm going to use this website. This is a demo website for e-commerce website where you can do shoppings like Flipkart and Amazon. So this is a demo website. This is I'm going to use. Currently, you see this, the application is totally developed. Every functionality is available here. But when the software is not developed, it is just on a document. It is not available on websites. So how it will look like? What will be the color? What will be the heading? How this drop down will look? How the link will look? What will be the color of the link? How the text value will look? Right. So all this design before the development of an application, a design document will be created, and that document it will be given to you in the form of document. In the document, you will see, like for what's new, this phase front end developers. In design phase, no, not front end developers will work. In design phase, architect will work, technical architect, and there will be some senior developers. Their job is to basically create an architecture. Like you understand the blueprint. Before developing a house, we have a blueprint. We have a design. Like based on this design, the house will be developed. So in the same way, from this SRS document, they will start developing an architecture, the blueprint of this application. Just imagine, we have to imagine only because we are not working in a project. We will imagine this application is not developed and developer team has to develop this application. So each and everything, whatever you are seeing here, everything will be designed by the architect team, and those design document will be given to the next in the next process, in the next phase. For example, how this customer login page will look. If you click on create an account button, so how this button will look, what are the messages you will see. If you click on this, then what will happen, which page will open, and how that page will look. So this page will look like this. So you will see the image. This image you will see. Currently you are seeing everything on an application, but before that, same image you will see in the design document. And based on the design document, developer will create this application. That means creating a house. Same thing developer do based on this design document. So there are two types of design phase. It gives the architecture of the software product to be developed, and it is basically done by the architects and the senior developers. In the high level design, in low level design, what they do, it is basically done by the senior developers. It describes how each and every feature in the product should work and how every component should work. So in the first phase, they will just create a design. Like let's suppose for create a new customer, they will create this design in the form of image in the high level design. And in the low level design, what will happen? There will be a document created like how first email but username will work, how last name username will work, what will happen if you click on this, how this field will accept the value, how you will give, what will be the password combinations, right? So all the details, like how each and every field of this application will work. So those details will be designed, will be created in the low level design phase by the senior developers. So first thing, you want to know this design, and second thing you want to know, like if you enter all these values. And then if you click on create an account, so what will happen? First of all, you want to know like what will happen. Then only developer can create an application. They should be aware of each and everything. So what will happen? Like in this example, I haven't given mentioned confirm password. So when I create on this button, so required fields, this message is coming. So this message, how it is coming? Because initially a document was created where it is mentioned. Like if any user doesn't give any mandatory value and click on create an account, then this message should display. So now developer will develop the application in such a way that this message will display. So developer doesn't know like what message will be displayed or what will happen. So they have developer has to be informed the behavior of the application. Then only they can create or develop an application. So how the application is behaving, that detail will be created in low level design. And how the application will look like, that architecture will be created in high level design by the architect. So basically design and the uh, how the application will function, that details will be captured in design phase. So if the input is software requirement specification and the output is high level document and low level document. Now the next phase is development phase. And development phase, there will be senior developer, junior developer, there will be some freshers who haven't worked on any project. They just have been hired by any company and they have been assigned to a project. They do not have any working experience, although they are known as freshers. Those who have experience of 1 or 2 years, they are juniors. And someone who has experience of 4, 5, 6, 7 years, they are the seniors. So now the developers in the developer team, there will be a combination of all threes. They will start working in this phase. Their input will be high level and low level document. They will start building the software based on these documents. And the outcome will be source code document. The source code. In the testing in the project, there are two types of environment. Generally, I'm saying one is the development environment and one is the testing environment. Developer develops the right now. You see, this is a URL, right? So in the same way, you will see a URL for the development team. Like the development team will develop the application on that particular URL, or you can say environment. And for testing team, there will be another environment, another URL, which is known as test environment. Once development team will develop the application, so they will transfer the application from the development URL to the testing URL. Testing team do the testing only on the testing environment, not in the development environment. So that is why developer has to transfer all the requirement to the testing team so that they can do the testing, whatever has been developed by the development team. What is testing and what have we do in the testing phase, that I will explain later. But this is the process. There are there will be two environments. Same it will look like, but anywhere you will see there is development, DEV word is mentioned. There will be some FST. Can you tell me more in simple form? Environment is nothing but a URL. In IT field, we use technical terms. So in general, we know URL. In technical term, it is known as environment. Okay. So there will be two environments, one for development, one for testing. In development phase, they will do the development. After that, they will deploy. There is a word called deploy. Deploy means transfer whatever the, let's suppose in the first development, they have created this part, create new customer account. When I open this URL, so I can only see this. This is what happened in the first round of development. There will be so many rounds of development. So just an example, in the first round of development, they have developed this part of the application. Now what they will do, they will deploy this part to the testing environment. That means will transfer whatever part of the application they have developed to the testing environment, so that tester will do the testing. So in testing phase, what will happen? Software is available on the testing environment. Now testing team will start doing the testing. Now a software, when we do the testing, then it also goes through the life cycle, which is known as software testing life cycle. That I will explain later. This is just a software development life cycle. And this is one of the phase of SDLC, but under this phase, there are so many other phases also, which is known as software testing life cycle, that we have to understand. But that I will explain in detail when we will start working properly on the testing part. So in testing team, generally what we do, we test the environment we test the application based on the software requirement specification to ensure that the requirement that is mentioned in the document and the behavior that is mentioned in the document both are working as expected. Like if I want to create an account, I should be able to create. If I do not provide any mandatory fields, so for me this error message would come. So I will just test the application to check whether the application is behaving or has been developed as per the requirement given by the client or not. So there will be two things. One is the expected and one is the actual. Expected, that is mentioned in the requirement document. Actual means once you will do the testing, then you will find, then after doing the testing, you will find some result. So after testing the result that you are finding, that is the actual result. So now you will compare the actual result with the result mentioned in the document. If both are matching, your testing is pass. If both are not matching, that means there is a defect. There is a defect in the application. Then you have to raise a defect. Now, what is defect? How everything goes on? That I will explain in detail in the further classes. But in general, this is what we do in testing. If actual and expected is matching, that means testing is pass. If not, then testing is fail. That means developer has not developed the application as per the requirement. So that is not necessary. That is the fail. Again, developer has to look into what they have developed and they have to rectify the mistake that the development team has done. That is why testing is very much important. So the software testing is basically done to ensure an application is behaving as per the requirement given by the client. Let's suppose for an example, there is a banking application and there is a functionality for depositing the amount. I have, before depositing, my account balance was 1500 rupees. I have deposited 500 rupees. So now my account balance will be 2000 rupees. But after depositing, it is still showing 1500 rupees. So this is not the right behavior. But in the document, it is mentioned once the 500 rupees will be deposited, then the account balance should also update. But this is not happening. So who will take care of this kind of thing? Now the tester comes into the place. Tester has the responsibility to test all these things, because development team will not do testing. They will just develop the application, and it is possible, right? A human can commit mistake. So who will validate those mistakes? Who will identify those mistakes? So that is why there is a testing team. Testing team has the responsibility to test the quality of the application. I will test if the account is updating, balance is updating, my testing is pass. If it is not updating, that means testing is fail. Now let's suppose without any testing, directly the application is developed and it is given to the real world, like we customer have started using it. So just imagine what will happen. So that is why testing is important. Before application goes to live, before we as a customer start using the application, first of all, it is being tested by the testing team so that this kind of problem should not occur in the future and customers should not have to face such kind of difficulty. So testing is basically comparison of actual requirement with the expected requirement, just to ensure both are matching. If both are matching, that means application is developed as per the requirement. And if it is not matching, that means there is some mistake done by the developer. So now developer has to fix that problem. So this is the general activity we do in the testing phase. Okay. Now next part will be deployment. Once the testing team finalize, like no, that application is developed as per the requirement, everything is working fine. So now it will be deployed and it will be the application will be available to the customer to use. Customer will start using. So in the deployment phase, the same thing happens. It is deployed to the customer and now they start using it. But it may also happen when customer will start using it, they will also experience some issue. So when that issue will come, then who will look into that issue? So that is why there is a maintenance team for every company. There is a maintenance team, customer uh, support, you can say in a general word, customer support team. Let's suppose you order something from Flipkart, you have cancelled it, now you want your refund. After 7 days also that refund is you are not able, it is not reflected in your account. So what you will do? You will simply call the customer support team and you will raise your concern. They will create an incident number. Okay, so what is that incident number? That incident number basically will be given to you and immediately it will be given to the developer. That this issue has been raised by the client, the customer, immediately you have to fix it. And immediately the developer has to fix it. Now immediately the tester will test it. And now again, that code, the changes that has been done in the coding part, that will be again deployed to the customer end. Now customer will again repeat the same activity and then he will not find any issue. Or in our example, the refund balance will be reflected in his account. No, there is a role of tester. Tester, first of all, will do the testing. 100% testing is not possible. Right? No one can test an application and can guarantee there is no problem in the system, in the application. First of all, testing will happen. See this phase. First of all, testing will happen. Then it will go to the deployment. In the deployment, also customer can found some problem, but that will be very minor. That is possible. That can happen. 100% testing is not possible. If 90% also we are meeting, then that is also fine. 10% we can experience when customer will start giving the feedback. Like this is the problem. While developers doing development at that time, what tester will do, right? I will come to that part. What tester will do at that time. In which phase of a tester start testing. So this is the testing phase. In this phase, tester will do the testing. Okay. So this is testing phase, this is deployment phase and maintenance phase. And these are the 7 phases of SDLC. This is how a software goes from one phase to another phase in a SDLC lifecycle. Okay. Anyone has any doubts?
So tester is present with the BA.
Tester is
Is tester present with the BA?
present with the BA. I didn't get you.
Means they are comparing the actual and expected result. For that I'm asking.
The BA role is to explain the requirement to the developer and to the tester. Like this is the requirement. Like when you go through the document, you may have some doubts. Like so, to whom you will ask those doubts. So you will reach out to the business analyst and you will ask, I have this doubt, so please clear the doubt. He will help you to understand the requirement. Testing will be only done by the testing team. BA team will not do any testing. They will just specify the requirement and they will explain us the requirement like this is what you have to test and this is what we have to develop. So this is the software development. How many environments in IT company? In IT company, there can be so many environments. Now it depends on the project. In general, there is development environment, there is FST environment, there is regression environment, there is UAT environment, so many environments. So one by one, I will explain when I will move on to the classes. When I will, especially when we will start the project, then you will understand how many environments. Okay. Now, next thing is model. Software development life cycle is just a life cycle, but we need a model on which model we want to work on which model we will use to develop the application. There should be some roadmap, there should be some plan, there should be some rules. In simple word, I can say rules. There is a administrating system, there is a police to maintain the law, right? You cannot kill anybody and you can freely move in the country. So there is some restriction, there is some laws, there are some rules. So under that rules and regulation, you have to live in a country. In the same way, if you are going to develop an application, there will be some rules and regulations. So that rules and regulations you have to follow. Cannot do anything, cannot develop and test anything. So this SDLC phase that we have, like in life cycle that we have developed, that we will use first, but also we have to accept any model on which model we are going to work on. Now this will be either approved by the client or approved by your company. So there are so many models. Two models are very much widely used. One is waterfall model, one is agile model. So that is why I will explain both the models. In the first project, we will follow the waterfall models, and in the second, V. What is V? So V model. V model we do not use. There are so many models, but model spiral. There are so many models, but generally, mostly we use waterfall model and agile model. So first of all, we will totally focus on the waterfall model. Waterfall model is a very traditional model, very old model. In this model, generally what happens, you will see this model also will also follow the same life cycle: requirement analysis, designing, coding, testing, and maintenance. So it will also follow the same life cycle, but this all life cycle will be incorporated in a model, and in that model, the team will start working on. In this model, generally what happens, at a time you will only work on one particular phase. Like parallelly, you cannot work on each and every phase. So let's suppose there is a team, BA team, architect team, development team, testing team, right? So in when the first phase will go on, then only business team will work. Development team, architect team, and the testing team will sit ideally. They will not do anything. Okay. Then in designing phase, what will happen? Architect team will start working. Development and tester are idle. In coding, development will work, and when the development is completed totally, then testing team will start working. So before testing, till this phase 1, 2, 3, and 4, testing team is doing nothing. They are sitting idle. So someone has asked, when the developer is doing development, so what testing team will do? So in the waterfall model, testing team will not do anything. They can hardly do one thing, is they can go through the software requirement specification. They can try to understand the application functionality. So this is what they can note down. They can create they can note down their understanding, so that once the application will be available for the testing, they will start doing the testing. So this is what hardly tester can do in such scenario. Okay. So this is how waterfall model works on. And this is the disadvantage, because during one phase, only one team will work and the rest of the team will sit idle. So this is not the proper utilization of the resources. Let's suppose requirement analysis, designing, and coding. This phase has taken 6 months of time. So during this 6 months, what will happen? Testing team will remain idle. They will just sit, they will understand the requirement, and they won't be able to do anything. So that is why what company basically do, they do not hire tester. First, for the initial 6 months, they will only hire business team, analysis team, and the developer team. Once company will understand, like now the application has reached to the development phase, then they will start hiring the testers, so that they should not have to give the salary to the tester during those 6 months. So they also use their mind, right? They are the company, they are running a company, they are mastermind. So this technique they follow. So this is right now, still there are so many projects that is basically based on waterfall model, but we cannot do anything. But slowly we are moving from waterfall model to the agile model. In agile model, every team works parallelly in each and every phase. No one will sit idle, everyone will work. This is the advantage of agile model. Slowly, now every company, every project has started shifting from waterfall model to the agile model. But we will cover both. Even now there are projects. Yeah, there are projects on waterfall. In my company only, there are so many projects on waterfall model. So there are so many advantages, disadvantages that you can go through, that I have explained to you. You can go through that. I will share this document after the class. What is STLC? Now this is our part. Tester, right? Because Waterfall model has been used as a traditional approach. Project has been developed by using this model. Like a project, it is not like a project completes in 1 year. Like my project in my company, the project on which I'm working on, that is going on till last 30 years. 30, I'm saying, not 1 3. So before 10 years, there was no Agile. So they have started working on waterfall model. So till 20 years, they have developed an application. So it is not easy to shift immediately from waterfall to Agile. It is very difficult job. That is why still there are some projects that they are working on waterfall because they do not have such fund to shift from waterfall to Agile. They do not want to invest. They do not want to invest so much fund, so much money. So that is why they decide to work on waterfall model because they are not in a position to shift 20 years of development into Agile. Okay. Means you have to purchase not purchase the model, like they have to develop a team who has the knowledge of Agile. A person, let's suppose a person who is working on Agile waterfall model, they do not have the knowledge of how to work on Agile. So the client has to provide the teaching facilities. And for teaching facilities, they will require some softwares, some documents, some faculty. So those are the investments. And when we shift the develop software from waterfall to model, so the third party company who will do this shifting part, they will also charge. They also need money for doing this shifting process. So that is why there are so much money involved in this space. And in waterfall, how much time taken? It depends. 1 year also sometimes it takes 1 year. For 1 year, the client has given this requirement which has been contracted, right? Now they will do they now the entire team will work on those requirements only for 1 year. Once that requirement has been developed, then in the second year they will give another requirements. So the requirement also it keeps on developing, like an application keeps on enhancing. After 2 months, if you open an application, you will see so many changes in the application. So who are doing those changes? Because the requirements are getting changed. That is why you are seeing those changes on the application. Okay. Generally, waterfall model is a very long model. It takes very long time.
Sunny, I have one doubt.
Yes.
You said waterfall model. If one phase completed, then another phase started. So if
Mm.
the coding phase is completed, then testing started. Then the client changes some requirement. Then how they change in again they will code it.
That is a good question. Once the requirement is locked in the requirement phase, client cannot change the requirement. If they want to change, then they have to wait for that duration. Like if the requirement is locked for 6 months, so they have to wait for 6 months. After that, only they can ask for to make any changes.
Okay, Sunny.
Okay. So this is the SDLC phase. Now STLC. Now we will totally focus on the software testing lifecycle. Software testing lifecycle is very much similar to SDLC only. In SDLC, what happens? We have so many teams. Every teams follows works on the SDLC. But in SDLC, we only the only testing team works. So for testing team also there will be a requirement analysis phase where they will understand the business requirement. Like I have said, BA business analyst will explain the requirement to both developer and tester. So they will also have business requirement. They will understand that this document. Then what they will do. They will create. This is the entry criteria BRA, and what will be the deliverables. They will list out the testing requirements. right? What are the testing requirements they have on the basically they will derive the requirements based on the testing perspective, like what are the testing activity they have to do. So that requirement they will derive. This is known as deliverables. Entry criteria, and after analyzing this, what you have get as the output, that is known as deliverables. If there is any automation feasibility, like is there any automation requirement? Do we have to do automation also? That also we analyze, or we will only do manual. There is no automation requirement is there. So all the things we analyze and then we list out everything. Then test. Then there is a test planning activity. In test planning activity, the requirement documents will be the entry criteria, and output will be test strategy, test plan, test effort estimations. So these documents will be created in testing plan. So in this phase, typically test manager and the test lead involves, and they will determine the efforts and the cost estimates for the entire project. Like the project that we are going to develop, how many efforts are required, like how many resources we need, how many testers we need, and what will be the cost. That is basically decided in the test planning. After test planning, once how many resources are required is finalized, then the company starts taking the interview for the testers, and they will hire the tester. Preparation of the test plan will be done based on the requirement analysis. Activities like resource planning, determining roles and responsibility, like who will be the in the testing team. Basically, there is a test lead who will be your lead. Uh, he will monitor your activity, what you are doing. He will instruct you what you have to do, right? So basically, he will be your boss. He will take your, if you have any doubt, he will reach out to your test lead. He will take care of your doubts. He will help you. He will resolve everything. So let's suppose there are 5 members testing team. So one will be the senior member who has a 10 years of experience. He will be the test lead, and rest 4 will work under him or her. The test lead will work with the test manager. Test manager role is to monitor how the project is, how we are monitor the project based on the testing perspective. There is a project manager who will test, who will monitor the project on every perspective, like development, testing, everything. But there will be a test manager who will only monitor the project based on the testing activity, how testing activity is going. Preparation of test plan. So these documents we derive in the test plan. So what are the, how is the hierarchy from lower to higher? Hierarchy is, there will be a delivery manager. Let's suppose in a company there are 10 projects are going on. The delivery manager will take care of, then will monitor all those 10 projects. Under that delivery manager, let's suppose for each and every project there are 10 test managers. Right. Under that 10 projects, there will be 10 project managers. Those 10 projects manager will report to the delivery manager. Now project manager, under that project manager, there will be 10 test manager. So those test 10 manager will report to each and individual project manager. Now under a project, there will be a test lead, there will be testing members. In that way, the hierarchy goes on. Next is the design phase. In design phase, again, the deliverables that you have got, these 3, this will be the entry criteria. I will explain this one, the resume. First of all, let me complete this. In the test design phase, what will happen? In the testing team, what they will do, they will prepare the requirement traceability matrix. What is this? This I will explain in detail when I will create this one. This will basically contain test cases, test script, test data, requirement traceability matrix. All these details will be captured in this RTM. So this will be your deliverables. I will explain in details what is this document and how we capture all the details. Basically, all the testing activity details we capture in this document. It is very important document. Next phase is the test environment setup. Like for testing, we need an environment, we need some data. If I tell you to test user login functionality, so you need username and password, then you can only test the functionality. So we need test data, we need test planning, test environment we need, on which operating system, on which browser we will test. So all these details we need. Do we have to test Chrome browser? Do we have to test on Windows operating system? So all these details we want before starting the testing activity. So all these things we will get to know from this phase, test environment setup phase. Then there will be test execution phase. Under this, what we will do? In the test design, we will create test cases. What is test cases? I will explain. The test cases that we have created in the test design that we will execute in the test execution phase. Now, what is test execution? That I will also explain. Once the execution is completed, then there will be testing closure activity. Testing closure activity means once entire testing is completed, then the entire testing team will sit up for a meeting. They will discuss their experience, their challenges, what lesson learned they have done, what are the mistakes they have committed. So all this analysis phase happens in the testing closure activity, where they note down some of the important points. That if there are some mistakes, then they will note down, they will understand why this mistakes has happened, so that it cannot repeated in the future, or everything goes on. If we have done something very great, if we have received appreciation from the project manager or from the client, so that also we discuss. If any employee has done very good job, then he will be awarded for that. So all these things happens in the test closure activity. Okay. After completion of the test closure activity, we pass the details via email to the project manager. Like this is the testing activity we have done. This was our outcome. These are the details. So on a very high level note, we send an email to the project manager to confirm we have done the testing, first round of testing. This is completed. Once the email is sent, and if that is accepted by the project manager, then that is known as testing closure. Like your first round of testing is completed. So this is how a testing activity goes on. So many things are there in testing. One by one, we will explain from tomorrow. Okay. And if anyone asks you to explain SDLC and SDLC, we will say SDLC is software development lifecycle, SDLC software testing lifecycle. First of all, you will give a definition. Then, what are the phases in SDLC that you will explain, and what are the phases in SDLC that you will explain. That's it. This is what you will. This is how you will explain the difference between SDLC and SDLC. Okay. Now those were the theoretical things that you should know. Before moving to the project work, you should know like what are the things we will do in SDLC. Now from tomorrow, one by one, we will work on each and every phase, and we will create documents. Now there is a test deliverables. So all this test strategy, test plan, scenario, all the testing related documents that we create for each and every phase we create. Right now we have discussed how many phases in SDLC? 6 phases, right? So in the 6 phases, we develop these many documents. And this is combined on a combined note. If I say, it is known as test deliverables. So on a very technical term, all these documents that we are creating is known as test deliverables. In the sixth phase, we create these many documents. So there is one single word, single definition for all these documents, which is known as test deliverables. Okay. So from tomorrow onwards, what I will do, I will create a software requirement specification document for this web application, this e-commerce website. This will be automated. This will be created by me, and from tomorrow onwards, we will move on to the requirement phase. That means from that SRS document, we will start analyzing the document, and we will start noting down the requirements that we have to test. So how to analyze, how to note down requirements, that we will start working on from the tomorrow onwards. So from tomorrow onwards, our first project will start. Now you have understood what happens in a project, what happens in an IT company, what we do in a testing field. A high level idea now you have got. In a detailed way, from tomorrow onwards, you will start understanding. Okay. So first will be SRS document, then you will create your test plan document. First of all, you will create test strategy document. Then from that, you will derive test plan document. And then each and every document you will start creating on once we move on from one phase to the another phase. Okay. So I will act as your test lead. You all will work as a testing member. I want all of you to work because see, I know what is manual testing. I know what is automation testing. I am working in this area since 7 years. No problem. You can again go through the recordings. Okay. So I have all the knowledge. So if I do everything, then it is not going to benefit you. I will act as a reviewer. I will review, but the activity you all have to perform. I will provide, I will give some assignment, I will give some homework you have to complete, so that in the next class, I will review, and then only I can explain you where you are committing mistakes and how to resolve those mistakes. Because if I do everything, I will not commit any mistake. I know how to do this activity, how to do that activity. But if you do, then definitely you will commit some mistakes because you do not have any working experience. So that I can guide you. This is not how we work in an IT sector. This is the wrong process. This is the wrong way of understanding. So I think this will be the right approach. Okay, so I would suggest all of you to work. This project I will divide into several parts, and I will assign each and every part to each of you, so that all of you work parallelly on that project. So this is my planning. So this planning will fail if you do the same thing that my previous batch has done. They never completed any assignment. When I asked, have you done anything? No response, silence. So I really got frustrated, and then I just explained one or two things for each and every phase, and I kept on moving because I will get motivation from all of you. If you interact, if you complete assignment, if you complete homework, then I will also get some interest, and I will also take the classes with such interest. If you do not speak anything, if you do not complete any work, then what I can do? So don't repeat that mistake. You are here to learn, to gain, to experience, so that you can get a job. take it very seriously. This is what I can suggest. Okay. So that's all for today's class. This is the first class, so I'm not providing so much details so that it will create problem to you. It will become a burden to you to understand. Slowly, we will move on.